She returned from a trip and discovered her mother kidnapped her sister's baby. Then she exposed the crime and saved all. Boston's autumn was beautiful, a season when the street trees turned golden. Emily Sanders was living fulfilling days as a sales manager for the pharmaceutical company Naja-Toxic Futures. 3 years after her divorce, she had become independent and took pride in the life she had built with her own strength. While brewing her morning coffee, Emily gazed out the window. Her house in the quiet residential neighborhood wasn't a mansion by any means, but it was a warm place she had chosen with her own hands. She could see her neighbor, Linda Miller, tending to flowers in her garden. Linda was a kind woman who had been friendly since Emily moved in, occasionally bringing over homemade cookies. Emily's family home was about a 30-minute drive away, but lately she had only been in contact about once a month. Her father, Robert, was a former banker who, even after retirement, maintained his strict personality that valued appearances above all else. He frequently said about Emily's divorce that it was shameful. Her mother, Margaret, was a woman who had been dutifully obedient to her husband for many years. Though she had a kind heart, she rarely went against her father's opinions. What worried Emily most was her sister, Sophia. She had been unreachable for about 2 months now. Emily had called many times, but it always went to voicemail. When she asked her parents, they only gave vague responses like, "She must be busy." Emily and Sophia had always been close, and her sister was the only one who had shown understanding during Emily's divorce. In the car heading to the office, Emily mentally organized her schedule for the day. The morning held a meeting about clinical trial results for a new drug, and the afternoon had negotiations for contract renewal with a major hospital chain. The pharmaceutical industry was constantly changing with fierce competition, but that was also what made it rewarding for Emily. She felt a deep sense of mission in her work of delivering truly needed medications to medical settings. After her divorce, Emily had been able to find a new version of herself by throwing herself into work. Her marriage to her ex-husband David had ended due to his infidelity, but looking back now, she also felt somewhat liberated. While she sometimes felt lonely about missing the opportunity to have children, she was satisfied with her current life, where she could control her own destiny. Her relationships with colleagues at the company were also good. She was particularly close with Sarah Johnson from the same sales department, sharing everything from work concerns to private matters like best friends. Sarah was a single mother with 2 children and served as a life mentor for Emily in the evening when she returned home. Linda waved to her over the garden fence. "Emily, welcome home. How was your day?" "Thanks to you, it was a fulfilling day." "How was yours, Linda?" "I spent a relaxing day. Oh, and I'll keep an eye on your house while you're on your business trip next week." Emily was filled with gratitude. Having a warm neighbor like Linda made this house feel even more precious to her. That night, Emily tried calling Sophia again, but still couldn't get through. Praying for her sister's safety, she began preparing for her Chicago business trip starting tomorrow. If the major contract succeeded, it would be a significant step forward for the company. With both nervousness and anticipation in her heart, Emily carefully packed the necessary documents in her suitcase. Monday morning, Emily boarded a flight to Chicago from Logan International Airport. Looking at the sea of clouds from her window seat, she realized and knew how important this business trip was for her. The contract with Midwest Medical Group could be a major turning point for the company's new drug lineup. Upon arriving at her Chicago hotel, Emily immediately began final preparations for the negotiations starting tomorrow. She spread materials across the desk in her room and reviewed the presentation flow repeatedly. Efficacy data for the newly developed diabetes medication, comparative analysis with competitors, pricing rationale. Everything had to be perfect. That night, Emily received a brief email from her parents for the first time in a while. It was simple content. "Are you doing well? Work hard," from father, but she felt their concern in their own way, and her heart warmed a little. There was still no contact from Sophia. She left another message on her sister's cell phone, but didn't expect a response. The first day of negotiations proved more challenging than expected. James Harrison, the procurement manager for Midwest Medical Group, was known in the industry as a strict negotiator. He questioned even the smallest details thoroughly and made merciless criticisms of Emily's explanations. "Miss Sanders, your company's new drug may indeed be excellent. However, to justify the price difference from the medication we're already using, we need more convincing data." Emily took a deep breath and answered, "Mr. Harrison, I'd like you to consider this from a long-term perspective. Improved quality of life for patients, reduced medical costs through shorter hospital stays, and above all, improved treatment success rates. If you evaluate all of these comprehensively, I'm confident the investment value is clear." On the second day of negotiations, Emily's colleague from marketing, Tom Reynolds, joined them. Tom was an experienced salesman and a reassuring reinforcement for Emily. "Emily, your presentation was excellent. The patient data analysis was the highest level I've ever seen." "Thank you, Tom, but I can't let my guard down yet." Mr. Harrison still didn't seem completely convinced. That night, the two refined their strategy over a light dinner at the hotel bar. Emily found herself talking about her own life. "Actually, this job is everything to me. Since my divorce, I've been desperately working to prove my worth. My family tells me I should seek a more stable married life, but I want to stand on my own feet." Tom nodded understandingly. "Women like you are leading the industry. Family understanding may take time, but surely they'll come to understand someday." On the third day, the negotiations reached their climax. Harrison presented his final conditions. He demanded significant price adjustments, but Emily responded calmly. "We'll make every effort possible. However, we cannot compromise on quality at all. These are medications that affect patients' lives." Thursday afternoon, they finally reached an agreement. The contract amount was slightly lower than originally planned, but with the long-term contract condition, it became a sufficiently valuable deal for the company. Harrison offered a handshake at the end. "Miss Sanders, I admire your persistence and expertise. I'm confident this contract will bring good results for both companies." Emily was filled with a sense of accomplishment. Returning to her hotel room, she immediately called her supervisor, Michael Parks, to report. "Excellent work, Emily. Thanks to you, we've moved much closer to achieving next year's sales targets. Your achievements will be highly valued at headquarters, too." That night, Emily was quietly immersed in satisfaction while looking at Chicago's night view alone. Gazing at the city lights spreading outside her window, she suddenly felt homesick for Boston. She missed the daily routine of drinking coffee with Linda's homemade cookies in her small house. On the final morning, Emily sent an email to her parents while packing. It was brief. The negotiations were successful. "I plan to return home this evening. Thank you for your hard work." There was still no contact from Sophia. In the taxi heading to the airport, Emily reflected on this business trip. While she had achieved great success work-wise, it made her reconsider the distance with her family. What she realized through her conversation with Tom was that she wanted to share more of the confidence and fulfillment she gained from work with her family. As the plane took off toward Boston, Emily bid farewell to Chicago's cityscape visible from the window. When she got home, she would give Linda the chocolate souvenir she bought, and she would try contacting Sophia once more. Her desire to confirm her sister's safety was growing stronger each day. When she landed at Logan International Airport, Emily felt refreshed. Checking her cell phone in the taxi, she found many congratulatory emails from the company. However, there was no message from Sophia. Friday evening, the taxi carrying Emily stopped in front of her home. With the success in Chicago in her heart, she walked toward the front door with light steps. As she was dragging her suitcase and trying to take out her keys, the neighbor's door opened vigorously. "Emily, welcome home." Linda rushed over, looking somewhat flustered. Unlike her usual calm expression, she seemed nervous somehow. Emily turned around with a smile. "Linda, I'm home. Thank you so much for watching the house." "Well, that's," Linda said, slightly out of breath as she grabbed Emily's arm. "Your baby was really such a good child. He barely cried at night and was very easy to handle." Emily looked confused. "Baby, Linda, what are you talking about?" "Oh, this is no time for jokes." Linda beckoned toward her own house. "Wait here. I'll bring him right out." Emily put down her suitcase and tried to follow Linda, but she had already disappeared into the house. A few minutes later, when Linda returned, she was holding what appeared to be a baby a few months old. "Here, your cute baby. He really looks just like his mother." Linda naturally offered the baby to Emily. Emily stepped back. "Linda, wait a minute. I don't have a baby." "Oh, you're tired, but it's okay. This child is very good. He drinks milk from a bottle properly and doesn't fuss during diaper changes." Emily's heart began pounding violently. "Linda, please listen. I haven't given birth. This child is not my baby." Linda's expression froze. Still holding the baby, she stared at Emily with a pale face. "That can't be. But your mother said—" "What did my mother say?" Tension shot through Emily's voice. Monday morning, Margaret brought this child over. She asked if I could take care of Emily's baby while she was on a business trip. She said Emily had given birth as an unmarried woman, but needed someone to watch him because of work. Emily felt like her knees might give out. "That's impossible. I don't have children." The baby let out a small cry. Linda tried to soothe the baby while confused, but her hands were trembling. Then, "Who is this child?" Linda's voice was shaking. Emily took out her cell phone. "I'm calling the police immediately. This is definitely a kidnapping case." "Police, but your mother. My mother deceived you, Linda. You're a victim too." While calling 911, Emily's mind was in chaos. Why had her mother told such a lie, and whose baby was this? "I'm reporting an emergency. There's an infant who may have been kidnapped." The operator's calm voice came through the phone. "Please tell me the detailed situation." Emily explained the situation with a trembling voice. The address, names of those involved, the chronological sequence of events. Linda sat down in a garden chair, still holding the baby. 15 minutes later, the sound of police sirens echoed through the residential neighborhood. She could see neighbors peering from their windows. 2 police officers got out of the car, the elderly detective Ali and young officer Rodriguez. "You're Miss Sanders, correct? Please tell us more details about the reported situation." Emily explained everything from the beginning again. Returning from her business trip, the neighbor offering her a baby, not having children herself. Detective Ali listened carefully while taking notes. "Ms. Miller, please explain the circumstances under which you came to care for the baby," Linda answered tearfully. "Monday morning, Margaret Sanders brought this child over. She said, 'This is Emily's baby, and I'd like you to watch him during her business trip.' I had no suspicions whatsoever." Officer Rodriguez took the baby. The small body wrapped in a blanket looked around with big eyes. "We'll temporarily place this baby with Child Protective Services. Until identity is determined, he'll be protected in an appropriate facility," Detective Ali explained. Emily watched the baby with a tightening chest, small hands, fluffy hair, innocent expression. This child had done nothing wrong, but was caught up in this commotion. "We need to contact Margaret Sanders. Please provide your parents' contact information." Emily showed her cell phone contacts with trembling hands. "But why would my mother do such a thing? That's our job to find out. Could you come to the police station tomorrow morning? We'll conduct a formal interview." After the police car left, Emily and Linda stood speechless. In the quiet residential neighborhood where evening peace had returned, only the 2 of them remained to feel the weight of the truth. "Emily, I'm truly sorry. I completely trusted your mother." Tears welled up in Linda's eyes. "It's not your fault, Linda. You're the one who was deceived." Emily placed her hand on Linda's shoulder. "More than that, thank you so much for this past week. I'm glad that baby was cared for by you." Entering her house, Emily called her parents. However, no one answered no matter how many times it rang. She left a message on their voicemail. "Mom, Dad, please contact me immediately. The police will come to talk to you tomorrow. What on earth are you thinking?" That night, Emily couldn't sleep at all. The timing of losing contact with Sophia, her parents' unnatural behavior, and today's events, everything seemed connected somehow. Saturday morning, Emily went to the police station. Even after a night had passed, there was no contact from her parents, and her anxiety only grew. Detective Ali led her to a small interview room. "Last night, we visited your parents' home, but there was no response. According to neighbors, they haven't been seen for several days." Emily was stunned. "Several days. But they sent me an email while I was on my business trip. Please tell us more about that email." Emily took out her cell phone and showed her father's email. It was brief content. "Are you doing well? Work hard. From father. I received it Tuesday night." Detective Ali nodded while taking notes. So, it was planned. It probably also meant to confirm that you were on your business trip. Just then, there was a knock on the interview room door. Officer Rodriguez peeked in. "Detective, there's a woman here named Sophia Sanders. She says she's Emily Sanders' sister." Emily stood up from her chair. "Sophia, really?" A few minutes later, Sophia entered the interview room looking haggard. The 28-year-old sister had lost her former bright appearance and showed an exhausted expression. Emily hugged her sister. "Sophia, where have you been? I've been worried about you this whole time. Big sister, I'm sorry." Sophia collapsed, crying in her sister's arms. "It's all my fault." Detective Ali quietly spoke. "Sophia, do you know anything about that baby?" Sophia nodded while wiping her tears. "That child is my son." Emily grabbed her sister's shoulders. "Sophia, yours. When? Why didn't you tell me anything? I gave birth 4 months ago. But when the pregnancy was discovered, Dad and Mom were furious. They said, 'It's a family shame and get an abortion immediately.'" Emily felt her chest tighten. "And then I refused the abortion. I decided to have the baby alone, rented an apartment, and hid. But life was difficult. The baby's father wouldn't take responsibility." Detective Ali intervened. "So you asked your parents for help?" "No, that's not it." Sophia shook her head. "I absolutely wasn't going to rely on them. But last week, Mom suddenly appeared at my apartment." "So Margaret found you." "At first, Mom said she was worried, but her real purpose was different. She said, 'For appearance's sake too, this child should be put up for adoption.'" Emily trembled with anger, "And then I refused. But Mom proposed, just for a few days. Leave him with someone trustworthy and you find work. She said with neighbor Linda it would be safe just until Big Sister returned from her business trip." "That was a lie," Emily said quietly. "Yes. Mom told me I've already told Emily, but she had told Linda a completely different story." Detective Ali confirmed. "So Margaret lied to separate you from your baby. After I handed over the baby, Mom said she would proceed with adoption procedures. But last night, when I heard from a neighbor that police had come, I rushed here in panic." Emily squeezed her sister's hand tightly. "Sophia, why didn't you consult me earlier? I didn't want to bother Big Sister. Besides, Dad and Mom threatened me. Don't tell Emily either." At that moment, another police officer entered the interview room. It was an elderly female detective. "I'm Detective Johnson. I have a report about the whereabouts of Margaret Sanders and Robert Sanders." As everyone paid attention, Detective Johnson continued. "The two were apprehended last night near the Canadian border. They're suspected of attempting illegal child transportation." Emily was speechless. "Canada. What were they trying to do?" "According to our investigation, they appear to have been in contact with adoption brokers in Canada. They were attempting to sell the baby to a foreign couple through illegal procedures." Sophia turned pale. "They were trying to sell my baby." "Unfortunately, that appears to be the case. Financial transactions have also been confirmed." Emily clenched her fists in anger. "Unbelievable. To try to sell their own grandchild for money." Detective Ali continued the explanation. "In Margaret's plan, everything would have been finished by the time you returned from your business trip. Lying to Linda that it was Emily's child was probably to hide it temporarily." "But why, Linda?" Emily voiced her question. "Being a neighbor, they probably thought she could naturally hand him over when you came back. At that point, it would have been too late." Sophia asked with a trembling voice. "Where is my baby now?" "He's being safely protected by Child Protective Services. Once it's confirmed that you're the mother, you can get him back through proper procedures." Emily looked at her sister. "Sophia, what do you want to do now?" "I want to get my son back. I'll raise him alone." "You're not alone." Emily gripped her sister's hand firmly. "I'm here with you." Detective Johnson gave the final explanation. "Your parents will be charged with child kidnapping, fraud, and human trafficking. Especially since financial transactions have been confirmed, heavy penalties are expected." When leaving the interview room, Sophia said to Emily, "Big sister, I'm truly sorry. I never thought things would turn out like this. You have nothing to apologize for. Dad and Mom are the ones at fault." Emily comforted her sister. "What's important is that you and the baby are safe." 3 months later, in spring, a new life had begun in Emily's house. A baby crib was placed in one corner of the living room with toys and bottles naturally fitting in. Sophia and 7-month-old Ethan had come to live with Emily. "Big sister, thank you so much for us to have all this." Sophia expressed her gratitude again while feeding Ethan milk. Emily smiled and answered, "We're family, so it's natural. Besides, having this child makes the house brighter." The legal procedures were complicated, but Sophia's rights as a mother were completely restored. Emily hired a lawyer for her sister and also supported negotiations with Child Protective Services. Sophia was currently working at a local daycare while attending business school at night, harboring hope for the future. Neighbor Linda had also deepened her bond with the sisters through this commotion. She became a reassuring presence, watching Ethan several times a week while Sophia attended school. "I was really surprised at that time, but thinking about it now, perhaps God guided this child to us," Linda said while playing with Ethan. The baby looked at her face and showed an innocent smile. Meanwhile, harsh reality awaited Robert and Margaret. Convicted of human trafficking and child kidnapping, they received prison sentences of 8 and 6 years, respectively. For the two who valued appearances above all else, the article published in the local newspaper was fatal. The cold stares from neighbors, and the complete loss of the social status they had built over many years. Everything they held dear crumbled away. Emily wondered whether to visit her parents, but in the end never went to the prison. Sophia felt the same way. While they could forgive, they felt it was impossible to repair the relationship. "Let's live looking forward," Emily told her sister. "Let's build a new form of family without being bound by the past." At Emily's company, too, this incident became a big topic. However, all her colleagues supported Emily's decision, especially Sarah, drawing on her experience as a single mother, gave lots of advice. Family isn't just about blood relations. Supporting and loving each other is what's most important. Sarah's words resonated deeply in Emily's heart. One Sunday afternoon, the three were having a picnic at the nearby park. Ethan was sleeping peacefully in his stroller, while Sophia and Emily sat on the grass drinking coffee. "Big sister, what do you think would have happened to Ethan if you hadn't come back from your business trip?" Then to Sophia's question, Emily thought for a moment before answering. "I don't know, but I think God surely protected him. You, Ethan, and me too. I'm very happy now. It's tough, but every day is fulfilling." Sophia's face had regained its former brightness. The responsibility and joy of motherhood had made her stronger. Emily thought while looking at her nephew. The changes this small life had brought to their lives were immeasurable. It had brought new meaning and warmth to a life that had been focused only on work. In the evening, returning home, there was a letter from Linda at the entrance. "Tomorrow I'll bring homemade apple pie. I also tried making baby food for little Ethan." It read, "We're really blessed with a good neighbor." Sophia smiled. That night, after Ethan fell asleep, the sisters talked leisurely in the living room about future plans, Sophia's studies, Emily's work, and Ethan's growth. "Next year, I'll be able to earn a stable income too, so I can't keep depending on Big Sister. There's no need to rush." "We have time," Emily held her sister's hand. "What's important is that we all support each other." Outside the window, street lights cast warm light, and a peaceful night had come to the quiet residential neighborhood. As if the chaos from 3 months ago was a lie, current life was calm and fulfilling. Emily thought about these past few months when she had learned and knew what family meant, that there were things more important than blood relations, love and trust, and the feeling of supporting each other. The small existence named Ethan had taught them the true meaning of family. Looking at her nephew's sleeping face in the baby crib, Emily smiled quietly. Tomorrow would bring another new day, the first step toward a hope-filled future that the family of 3 would walk together. As Emily sat in the quiet of her living room one spring evening, watching 7-month-old Ethan sleep peacefully in his crib, she could hardly believe how profoundly her life had transformed in just a few months. The memory of returning from that business trip in Chicago still sent a chill through her, a moment when triumph had twisted into a nightmare that upended everything she believed about her family. When Linda had rushed over and placed the tiny infant in her arms, insisting he was hers, Emily's world had frozen. Confusion had swiftly given way to terror, then to a burning rage she had never known she possessed. How could her own mother orchestrate such deception? Lie boldly to the neighbor, kidnap Sophia's child, and attempt to sell him across the border, all to safeguard their obsessive need for flawless appearances? Unraveling the truth at the police station, holding Sophia as her sister sobbed and poured out the hidden months of pregnancy and birth, had shattered Emily's heart. Her younger sister had endured it all alone, driven into secrecy because their parents viewed the baby as an unforgivable stain on the family name. A wave of guilt washed over Emily for being so immersed in her career and independence that she had overlooked the warning signs. Yet beneath the guilt burned a fierce, unyielding protectiveness. No one would harm them again, not Sophia, not Ethan. By exposing the web of lies, the elaborate plan, and the underlying greed, Emily had saved them. In truth, they had saved one another. Reflecting on it now, Emily felt an overwhelming surge of gratitude. The house she had built for herself after the divorce, once a sanctuary of solitary strength, had become fuller and warmer than she could have dreamed. Laughter now filled spaces that had known only silence. Sophia's quiet resilience inspired her daily as her sister rebuilt her future, and Ethan's innocent, gummy smiles reminded Emily that family was not bound by blood or perfection. It was forged through unwavering love, trust, and standing united against the darkest betrayals. They had lost their parents in every meaningful sense, but in their place had blossomed something priceless, a true home, a fresh beginning. Through it all, Emily had come to understand that genuine fulfillment extended far beyond closing deals or proving her professional worth. It lived in these tender, quiet moments, safeguarding the vulnerable, choosing compassion over cruelty, and nurturing the bonds that mattered most. Ethan and Sophia had mended fractures in her soul she hadn't realized existed. Their little family was imperfect, yet undeniably whole. For the first time in years, Emily felt a deep, abiding peace. This was their story, a tale of profound pain, shocking betrayal, and, ultimately, hard-won redemption. And she was immensely proud to have lived it.